Thank you once again for joining. This is the Coursera Illinois Tech Bachelor's of IT, Master's of IT student panel. So thank you very much for joining. We will just go over a few slides first, and then we will open it up to questions. So as I said before, this is the webinar covering the Master and Bachelor's of Information Technology offered by the Illinois Tech University and Coursera. So I will just introduce myself briefly. My name is Paige Wolf. I am the Senior Assistant Director of Graduate Admissions here at Illinois Tech, and my role within the Coursera program is to assist students with enrollment questions, get them connected to faculty, as well as help with any and every sort of troubleshooting that they need help with to get involved. I will pass it to our Coursera representative to introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Paige. Good day, everyone. My name is Ayush. I'm the enrollment counselor with Coursera. And basically, I will be your point of contact for information with Coursera regarding your admission process, both for Master's IT as well as Bachelor's IT. Thank you so much for joining the webinar with us. Over to you, Paige.
Thank you very much. All right, without further ado, I'd like to talk a little bit about Illinois Tech. So Illinois Tech is based in Chicago, Illinois, and we are a very high-ranking private nonprofit university. About a year ago, we got our newest rankings from the Wall Street Journal. They put us in number 23 in the nation, which is extremely exciting. And they also put us in number 1 in Illinois, which is also extremely exciting. We do our best to give you the best value on your education. So US World News has us 29 in best value colleges in the US. So basically what that means is we try to give you the best cutting edge education that you can get on your tuition. And typically what we see, and I can share this in a moment, is we see many of our students secure jobs within their field within about 6 months. Their placement rate tends to be about 80 to 90%, which is pretty great. And same goes with our occupational earnings power. So we are number 1 in the Chicago region, according to Brookings Institute. Because, once you get a degree from Illinois Tech, that's a very high value degree. So a lot of employers tend to maybe give you a little bit of an extra salary boost. All right. All right. We are also Chicago's only technology-focused university, and we are very proud of that fact as well. So what that means is we understand that technology is, getting very big, and it requires, in every single field, we need to have you focus on the tech that is at the forefront of your particular field. So for Illinois, for IT, we try to make sure that we keep you up to date on relevant trends, relevant curriculums, and we try to make sure that you are learning that as well. Usually faculty are updating their curriculums every semester or so to try to include these new trends and these new technologies so that you have a cutting edge on getting into the job market. We are also a research institution, and we do try to keep our research up to date on our website. So you are free to follow that QR code and make sure to kind of just review what it is we're up to these days. We cover research in a lot of different areas, including urban futures, social justice, health and wellness, deep science, deep engineering, IT, of course, and many, many more. So feel free to follow that QR code to our research page and see it as what we're up to. And then, as I mentioned before, our graduate outcomes are usually quite high. So this is data that we've obtained from our last 5 or 6 graduating classes. just seeing where they're at 6 months after they graduate. And as you can see, we have students that are employed full time at about 73% within 6 months of graduating, as well as other outcomes that they've received. We also have listed our top employers, which include a wide variety of Fortune 500, startups, companies of all sizes and all areas. And then we've also included their starting salaries, which can be pretty competitive. Yeah. And there's another QR code for you to follow. You can drill down to just uh, the IT graduates. And there is also a separate page for undergrad if you wish to go to our page and find that as well. So, yeah. All right. And with that, I will now pass it over to Ayush to discuss Coursera.
Thank you so much, Paige. We can move to the next slide. All right. So when we talk about both the programs, which is the Masters of Information Technology as well as the Bachelors for Information Technology, the traditional admission process is basically not followed here. There's a different process that we have. Can you move to the next slide? This is what we call as our performance-based admission. All right. So basically, there's no application which is required. There are three pathway courses in each of these programs that you need to take up and pass with a GPA of 3 and above on each of them to earn your acceptance into the program. Now, these pathway courses are actual degree courses as well, which means when you start with these, you are earning your credit towards your degree right away with these three courses as well. And there's no previous technical experience required. Hence, the performance-based admission allows people coming in from a different background also to be able to join with us in the IT courses as well. Next slide, please, Paige. So how this actually works is there's a very small registration form. On a chat, we have shared the degree page for both Bachelor's Information Technology as well as the Master's Information Technology, which you can check out. And once you go on to the individual pages, you will see an option to click on enroll now. When you click on that, it takes you to Illinois Tech's page where you fill a short registration form and then you get to register and then pay per credit on Illinois Tech's website directly. When our term starts, during that term, you have to complete the three pathway courses on Coursera. Once that is done, you will be receiving your grade. And as mentioned earlier in the requirements, if your grade is 3 CGPA and above on each of these individual courses, you will then go forward and get accepted towards the further degree program. Next slide, page. All right. So also on the chat right now, we have put across the links, which is in case you would like to go forward and interact with me individually regarding this over a phone call or over a Zoom call. There's a link that we have provided in the chat right now. You can utilize the same individually. One is there for the master's program and the other one is there for the bachelor's program. Please look to the same. You can block in a time and we can have a one-to-one conversation further, understanding about the admission process, as well as walking you through the same. Paige, thank you so much. Over to you,
Thank you,
Paige.
Ayush. All right. So thank you for our very brief presentation. Let's open it up to questions. I see we have a few already. Um, let's see. So the first is, what is the average GPA for the graduate from this project? So for the master's, you do need to maintain an average of 3.0 GPA throughout your program. For the pathway courses specifically, you do need to have a B or higher in all three. For post PBA, it's just as long as you maintain the 3.0 GPA, 3.0, excuse me, 3.0 GPA, you'll be all right. Okay. Is there a chance to get a free scholarship to join Illinois Tech? I'm from Egypt. So Illinois Tech is not offering scholarships to Coursera students at this time. I know that there are some outside scholarships that we can accept. And we also encourage you to maybe see if there's some employer assistance that can help you cover tuition.
I also went ahead and just dropped in the chat. Just I know there's lots of questions about financial aid, and you can explore credit for prior learning for the bachelor's program. So just if you want to check in the chat, it's a landing page off of the degree description page that IU shared. You can. So what this means is you can go ahead and take Google Project Management, Meta Front End Developer, or the IBM Cybersecurity Analyst professional certificates and earn up to 9 credits before you enroll into the program. So in addition to transferring those 61 credits, these are 9 additional credits towards the core curriculum for the degree, which will help you kind of alleviate some of the costs and get your degree even faster. So feel free to check out the link that was just shared in the chat.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Okay. Um, let's see. We have one question. Is the master's only in English, or is the program offered in other languages? It is only offered in English at this time. We do not require you to submit any test scores or any proof of English proficiency. However, we do strongly recommend that you are proficient in English if you are to take this degree. Do any credits from another university count towards the bachelor's degree? So I will go ahead and just sort of put a caveat on my answer. I work directly with the graduate office. I do not work with undergrad. So I have very sort of basic information about their processes. But my understanding is yes, if you have credits from another university, those can be accepted. I'm more than happy to connect you with our undergrad representative who can assist you with getting those credits transferred as well as answering your questions.
Yeah, and Paige, I'm happy to jump in as well. So it is mandatory to transfer 61 credits into the bachelor's degree. So this is a degree completion program. So that is one of the caveats to the Bachelor of IT program. If you're interested in what specific credits are possible to transfer, that would be they do a transfer credit analysis that the university will do with your enrollment form. Since there's no formal application, that's just one of the few things that they do request when you're enrolling in the bachelor's program. So hopefully that helps a little bit there as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I am sending out the email address for those that ask about transfer credits as well. Okay. I
So Paige,
registered.
so
Yes,
Paige,
go ahead.
before we move ahead, I think we can also introduce Damien to the participants and then start off the interaction with him.
Yep, absolutely. Damien, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Damien Zavala. I actually am part of the Masters at program for the MSIT to Coursera at IIT. I joined it about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. So when it first got released, I think in the fall of 2023. So I'm excited to be, one of the first ones to be part of the program. It's been a learning curve, but it's exciting. I've really enjoyed it. And I guess that's why I volunteered to be here today to tell you all about or answer any questions you may have from a student's perspective on how it's benefiting me and things I've seen and things that have helped me. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask and I'll answer to the best I could. Or if you need any advice or questions, feel free to reach out at any point.
Yeah, and Paige, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, just so we can kind of see the overlay. It's pretty simple, but just so you can kind of see Damien's name and um, see that he is a current student of the Master of IT. I don't know if that's working for you over there.
It is not. I could stop sharing and maybe refresh.
Oh, no worries. Nothing super important on there. But Damien, if you don't mind, you can go ahead. I'm just going to prompt you with a couple of questions that might be helpful to our watchers, to our attendees here. So if you wouldn't mind just talking a little bit about your background and kind of what you're currently doing, maybe in tandem with the degree, if you're working, and if you're not currently working, maybe some of your career aspirations after you graduate.
Yeah, so I've actually been working in the IT field since 2005. So I will think about it today, about 20 years. So,
Wow.
when I first started, I didn't have pretty much anything. I was thinking I was starting back for my A plus back in '05, which is a long time ago. And things have really changed since then. And the thing that mostly helped me in the back end was a lot of certifications, a lot of training, and then eventually to get my bachelor's degree. And then 2 years ago, I decided I want to go for a master's to help me get that extra bump, like you said, in my salary, but also extra thing to help my resume, because eventually I want to become a director. I notice a lot of directors or higher roles, like managers, have some sort of master's in the background. That's really what motivated me to go after my master's degree. And I'm still currently in a full-time occupation. So I'm a systems engineer, cloud engineer. So it helps me that I have my knowledge that I could put into use for my roles when I'm taking classes like Python. I do coding. That does help me having that information.
Yeah, 20 years. So you're brand new to it sounds like. That's awesome. Congratulations on that. That's really happy 20-year anniversary.
Thank you. And I apologize if you have kids in the background. You hear my kids in the background. It's -20 today in Chicago, and schools got canceled. Daycare got canceled there, so they're with me.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I've heard it's like it was like 8 degrees waking up this morning, so I can't imagine what it's like in Chicago. I'm outside Philly here. That's awesome. Well, thanks for joining
It
us.
is.
Multitasking.
We're in the negatives.
Unreal. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Well, the good news is you can take either of these programs from anywhere in the world. So you don't necessarily have to freeze in Chicago in order to become an Illinois Tech student. So that's a good plug there. Awesome. Thanks, Damien. A couple more questions for you. So how did you find out about Illinois Tech? And I guess what stood out about this particular program? And I'll give you a second. And it looks like
Yeah, sorry, I
reload.
gotta move over because the kids just followed me to this side of the house. I found out about the program because I was doing research about going for my master back in 2023, and that's when I saw that it was somewhere of a newer program, and that's what really got me interested into trying it out, because I was like, oh, it's something new. Let me check it out. Let me read more about it. And then I also saw that. Sorry about that. My dog just went after attacking the cookie, which I don't want to clean up after that. Then I saw that the program was a PBA, and I'm like, okay, this is easier for me to enroll. I don't have to worry about taking a GRE, taking a different exam, and practicing for that, study, and then enrolling that way. So I felt like that pathway did help me and made it a lot easier. And then the fact that I was able to pay for those classes in a smaller amount instead of having to enroll in a huge, like, regular program, which I was looking at actually like $30,000 a year, that did offset me motivated more, like, well, I can make it work more in a financial sense, and I can make it work with my schedule at work, because since I work full time, I can just take my courses when I have free time, maybe do my lunch during the day, do a few trainings, and do some homework in the afternoon or at night when the kids fall asleep or on the weekend. So that also helped me motivate me to go this route instead of a traditional brick and mortar.
Great. So I'm hearing it's just like the asynchronous nature. And I know we had a question in the chat about classes being live or pre-recorded. So I guess to answer this question from Sakshay Blake, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing names. Were you able to interact with professors outside of the pre-recorded lectures?
Yeah, so usually we have at least 3 live sessions per semester or per class. So each class is about 10 weeks long. And during those 10 weeks, I've at least meet with the professors 3 times for like a 2-hour live session that we have. They also have office hours weekly where you can meet with the professor or talk with them through, or I guess with a teacher assistant. So I've met with them as well. I've only had one scenario where the professor and I, we were building a relationship, and I was telling my interest in becoming a PhD student in the future. So we actually met on campus. I went down and I got that opportunity to get my name badge, that I was so excited about because he qualified for an ID badge. I picked up my ID badge and met him.
Awesome, that makes sense. Yeah, and if there's any follow-up questions, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A. We do have another question coming directly to you, kind of about what you were just speaking with to your balance, your work-life balance and work-school life balance. You can add that one in. Is it manageable? Zarina says that your background sounds very similar to theirs, working full-time, parent, being in the field already. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about how you manage everything.
I feel like, so the nice thing about it is when you sign up for a class, usually like the week before, it loads up in your Coursera platform as like a preview, but you can see it. And that opportunity lets me see, okay, what the breakdown of the class looks like. Usually it's like a 9-week, 10-week. Sometimes in the summer's, a little bit more condensed because summer semester's a little shorter. But that gives you an idea of what work to expect. Once I know what work to expect, I usually cross that with the kid schedule and my work schedule, so I can plan out, okay, by this date, I want to finish maybe up to here, so I stay ahead of that task. For an example, for right now, for spring A of 2025, I know that for that at work, I'm going to be really busy in February because we're closing an office, moving some infrastructure to the cloud. So I know I'm going to do a lot of my hard work. I do it now in January to get ahead, because if not, I will fall behind in February. So this way I can still finish on time for March. So it really comes down to like seeing what's required from the course, how that crossing it with my work schedule and the kid schedule, and then making it work that way. Hopefully that example helped you all.
Yeah, no, it's great insight information that you can kind of go at your own pace and get ahead when you need to. Kind of taking a step back, in terms of your admissions process, how did you find performance-based admissions? And I'll go ahead and I'll also drop in the chat for everyone more specific information about the Bachelor of IT and the Master of IT performance-based admissions. But from your perspective, being a Master of IT student, did you find that the performance-based admissions was helpful for your kind of busier life, or did you find the classes really difficult or challenging? What are your thoughts?
I really found it helpful because it was on my own time. I was able to, do this at my own schedule. It also found a lot easier than planning to take like a test. I know for like standard, you have to take like a GRE and do like resumes, do recommendations. It was like a lot more. You get enrolled, and that's what really gave me the fear about applying for a master's degree. But the PBA made it easy. I think it was simple because a lot of the questions that were offered, I remember for my program was around operating system, security, and then like internet. Like it's like three features that like, well, I do this every day. And like for people to have like an A+ certification, it's very similar to the A+ certification. So any certifications you've done with A+, AWS, Google, Azure, it's very similar to that. So if you've been working in the field for a while, that gives you like a really, really good way to run into the field. And I think that made it really easy for me to take a PBA. I was able to do all the content myself within a few weeks instead of like the 2 or 3 months they gave me, just because of my
Wow.
background.
Wow, 2 or 3, that's awesome. 2 or 3 weeks. I guess, what would your advice be to maybe somebody who doesn't have as robust of a background as you do? Any like prep courses that you would recommend? I know this is not necessarily maybe your specialty, but maybe just certain skills that people might want to brush up on if they don't have 20 years of experience.
For prep courses, I feel like knowing the basics of an operating system, like between Windows, Linux, and Mac, that's a great way to start. And you could do that by YouTube videos online. There's also a lot of websites that do training, or or even Coursera does that too, where you go and sign up and just learn about something. And I believe Coursera, if you pay for the monthly subscription or yearly subscription, you get access to this content, so you can get ahead of it, see if you like it. And if you like it, then go after that PBA. If you don't like it, then you at least know through that experience you were able to check it out.
That's super helpful. Please, if there are questions about maybe if they're career switchers or first timers in the IT field, Damien seems like a great wealth of knowledge for other, other skills you might want to think about before embarking on PBA. I did drop those links in the chat, the Bachelor of IT, PBA, or performance-based admissions, as it stands for. There are links in the chat for both the Bachelor program and the Master's program. So you can see exactly which courses you need to take in advance. If you secure a B or better in all 3 of these courses, in addition to showing proof of your transcript for your undergraduate transcript for the master's program, and transferring the 61 credits for the Bachelor of IT program, that will grant you into the program. I'm sure Paige can speak a little bit more about the Master of IT credentials, but sounds like it was relatively simple if you have any sort of IT background, as Damien mentioned. So a couple quick more questions, Damien, if you have a couple more minutes to give us. What are your biggest challenges in the program? From maybe, is it online learning or maybe part of the curriculum, homework assignments? What are some challenges you've faced, and how have you overcome them?
So one of the challenges, and it's an issue that I ran into just because of my computer. For one of the classes, it was like a hypervisor's class, which is a virtual machines that you have to manage in your computer. So it was required for us to install a bunch of different operating systems on our computer. My hard drive is very small. It's like 128 gigabytes. Like I got the smallest build that when I build it. And I didn't have enough space for it. So I guess the challenge I had to figure out, how am I going to get all these virtual machines, take up a space in my computer so that I could do the coursework. And what I ended up doing is I ended up ordering like a flash drive. I think like a $10, $15 flash drive. I just threw everything on there and it made it easier because I was able to still keep along with the coursework, do my coursework, have everything build up on the flash drive without having to take up space on my computer. And that was the most it was like initially just because obviously I didn't want to take up so much space on my local computer. And two, at the same time, I wanted to keep up with the coursework so I could practice the VNs, build up with what the professor was providing us. And I guess the last thing was, now that I have it, it's still the flash drive. That's the only thing that's on there. So at least I know if I ever need it, the flash drive is right there. And it's a good way for me to practice doing all the different flavors that the professor wants to see. I think it was like 10 different operating systems he wants to install. You know, which could be a little bit daunting when you think about like, how am I going to install 10 operating systems on like one computer? But at least there were workarounds, and he was pretty good. His name was Professor Jeremy. I can't remember his last name, but I remember he was very helpful with a class where a lot of us ran into the session. He was just giving us workarounds or ideas on how we can get it to work. So I really appreciated that class.
So I think it's Jeremy Hijack you might be talking about, last name. Yes, awesome. And we do actually have a webinars that he was featured on in the past. Those are on the degree description pages. I can drop that link in the chat if you do want to get kind of a feel for what a professor might be like in the program. So that's awesome. I know I'm seeing some more questions come in the Q&A. Some of them are directed directly for you, Damien, and others are kind of more generally about the program. One comes in from Stefan asking about the math that's involved in the Master of IT program.
There wasn't much math. There's more Python. So there's Python scripting. At least 2 classes have to do with Python that I've seen so far. And when it comes to coding, you need to know math because you need to make a basic math to make the code work. And I feel like that's the most mathematics I've reached in the math program. I'm not sure about the bachelor's program, that might require more math courses. But the master's one, the only time I've seen math is when it comes to coding.
That's great. That's super helpful. Are there any differences between, maybe this is for Paige, between campus students and Coursera students for the master's program?
Marginal. Other than the obvious on-campus brick and mortar experience versus the online experience, the degree that we offer on campus does offer more course options, more concentration options, and stuff like that. That being said, though, you are also held to the maybe some higher standards. You do have to apply as you normally would, and if you don't quite meet our coursework or GPA requirements, you probably wouldn't be considered. Whereas for the Coursera degree, you have that PBA pathway option where you can show that you have the aptitude and or your own maybe work experience that can help you get admission to the program. So it's cost benefit or like pros and cons to both. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
I see a question from Tumedi for Damien specifically. Are the master's IT modules more gravitated towards coursework or research work, and which one do you prefer now that you are enrolled?
The
Damien.
one from the Coursera platform is focus more on coursework. I know the program they offer I'm from at the school is they all offer an option with research focus, but that's not offered through Coursera. Through Coursera, it's mostly through coursework, and I consider this like important for me because that's my background. I feel like I selected the non-research option, which is the Coursera option, because it made more sense to me. So I would bring a lot of more background more into it. But I do know from doing research that if I want to get into the PhD program at IIT, I would have to do the research side because that's the only option they offer at that point.
Great. Thank you, Damien. I see one more question. I think this might be going for Paige as well. Do the MSIT students from Coursera have access to all the school's benefits as campus students? For instance, career services and other benefits other than study materials?
Yes, absolutely. You have access to our libraries, to career services. You have access to our career fairs that we offer every semester. You can get a student ID. You can attend graduation. Any of our auxiliary offices generally you'll have access to. So, in that regard, no difference between Coursera and on-campus students.
All right, thank you so much for that, Paige. If there are any more questions, we have the Q&A section open. Please do go ahead and type in your query or question for. All right, there comes one. Damien, I think this question might go ahead for you. Besides the comp and Python courses that you mentioned earlier, what would be other certificates uh, to get to be as well prepared as possible for the master's degree?
I like those certificates came in mind just because even when taking some of those classes, I recognize some of those questions or like material, like, oh, I remember seeing this information in this certification. And when speaking to professors, like, yeah, that was we translated some of that for that class. So that's where I was able to connect those dots. And especially the professors recommend, like, this is where we obtained it from. And I know one of the professors that I had last semester, he was telling me more about, it was a security class, and he was talking more about penetration testing. So him telling me like, hey, this is our security class focused more on pen testing. So if you wanted to go online and look up what pen test looks like and have more idea about that, that will prepare you for this class. So it's things like that, and reaching out to your professors or the TAs that help you get the insight of what would help you for each course. At the same time, since the courses are available on the Coursera platform, you can look up the number. That's what I've done. I look up the class number and class ID on Google, and you can see what previous people have taken that course, what they recommend, and what the description is about. And in the description, you can use that to say, okay, let me go look this on YouTube. Let me look up at this certification. Let's focus on this. And that's what I found useful, because even though Coursera, when they offer like a degree plan, like they tell you these are the courses you need to take to help you graduate by X date. I took all those courses, I made a spreadsheet, and I broke down, okay, so Coursera says this is when they're going to be offered this semester A, B, C for this, and I made a spreadsheet. It's very good Google spreadsheet. And then I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna take this on spring A, spring B, and I made my own plan on there. So this way I know that as long as I'm staying on my spreadsheet, I want to meet the goal end date of graduating by this spring. And in that I have the class numbers I'm able to look up to see, so I can prepare myself. So for next semester, I need to know this because that's what I'm gonna run into in the classes. So it comes back to, I guess, planning and like setting up goals for myself.
Thank you so much for that, Damien. All right, so people who are looking in or wanting to check in regarding your credit transfer, bachelor's, etc. specifically, if you check on the chat, we have mentioned if you're interested in seeing what credits can transfer to the Bachelor's of IT program, you can reach out to Marcus Tweedy. The email ID is mentioned on the chat for everyone. Someone else has asked in the detail about how to reach out to Paige. Paige has also put in her email ID on the chat. And similarly, if you wish to go ahead and discuss about the admission process with me as well, I have the link available on chat. You can go forward and block in a time slot with me as well. All the links are available on the chat. You can please check them out as well.
I'm seeing a lot of people raise their hand. Also, I know a lot of times it's easier to just chat through certain questions. In this forum, since there are so many people, we would not get to any questions. So unfortunately, we're not going to be addressing questions that way. But if you would like to speak directly to somebody to work things through, please book a meeting with Ayush. I'm going to drop it in the chat just one more time. There's two separate links, one for the Master of IT program and one for the Bachelor of IT program. So if you have specific questions about the program that we weren't able to address in the Q&A, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of take 20 minutes, 30 minutes with Ayush and talk through whatever sort of specific questions that you have. In the meantime, I just want to say thank you so much to Damien for joining. It's always great to have the perspective of a learner, someone who's been through PBA, obviously even better when you have 20 years of IT experience, you're a wealth of knowledge. So thank you so much for joining. And I think we can go ahead and start to wrap up as I'm not seeing too many more questions come through the chat. And thank you to Paige and for Ayush for your time. Good luck on the next enrollment cycle. We can go ahead and just share those those deadlines real quick. So enrollment is open. The enrollment deadline coming up is March 31st. So go ahead, and get started on those performance-based admission courses. It took Damien just a few weeks to get through them, but if you don't have 20 years of experience, it might take you a little bit longer. So best to get started on them as soon as you can. And with that, we can go ahead and start to just kind of conclude here today.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day ahead. Thank
Thank-
you, Damien, for joining.
Thanks
Thank you,
again.
everyone.